The Hard Rock 100 course is a 100-mile loop through Colorado's San Juan Mountains. Traversing rugged, high-altitude terrain, it challenges runners with steep climbs, unpredictable weather, and some of the most stunning mountain views in North America.
It's a 14,000-foot peak, no big deal.
I joined a group of friends to tackle the route over 4 days in July of 2024, running from town to town with vehicle support so that we could experience its beauty and rich history by daylight. But even then, it was anything but easy, and every climb and descent served as a reminder of why this route has earned its legendary status as one of the most challenging in the world.
You guys are gonna like this descent.
We started our adventure by flying into Denver to pick up a camper van from Titus Adventure Company.
We just left Titus with this sweet, sweet camper van that we're gonna have for the next 2 weeks.
We then made the roughly 7-hour drive over 2 days to Silverton, located in a remote part of southwestern Colorado's San Juan Mountains. Hard Rock is a looped course which alternates direction each year, passing through the old mining towns of Sherman, Ouray, and Telluride, where we'd be stopping each night. A total distance of over 100 miles, with more than 33,000 feet of elevation gain, all at an average elevation of over 11,000 feet. So we have finally arrived in Silverton. And the first thing that we did was meet up with the group in town at a place where my friend Josh has been staying as he trains for the Hard Rock 100 to talk some last-minute logistics. And then we came here and got checked into our campsite, and now I'm going to prepare all of my gear because we start our adventure first thing tomorrow morning. There's quite a bit of gear required for a backcountry adventure like this, including waterproof and warm layers, a headlamp, a GPS watch for navigation, a water filter, first aid, and a satellite communication device in case of emergency. And we'd be carrying enough calories each day for 8 to 12 hours, including, in my case, easily digestible food from Knack. Silverton's history is rooted in the late 19th century mining boom, when prospectors flocked to the San Juans in search of gold and silver.
So gold was discovered in the northeast part of the state in 1858. And then this man named Charles Baker wandered down here trespassing, because this was Ute territory then, and he set up a little camp here, a settlement camp in Silverton. It was called Baker's Park. But his timing was off and he did a couple things wrong. So the first reason his timing was off is the next year the Civil War broke out in 1861. All the men left to go to war. And then he was kind of looking for the wrong thing. He was searching for gold, and this area is really where silver turned out to be what made people rich. And there's an old miner saying about how the town got its name, which is, we ain't got a lot of gold, but we've got silver by the ton, and that's how it became Silverton.
Today, Silverton thrives as a tourist destination thanks to its well-preserved mining history and access to outdoor recreation. Visitors can explore old mines and stroll through unpaved streets lined with beautifully preserved Victorian buildings. There's a deep sense of its mining past everywhere you look.
Hey man, what's up? What a day to start, huh?
Yeah. Okay, here we are. It is 7 o'clock, Monday morning, Canada Day. And we're just about to get started here. Everybody just showed up and just getting the van loaded up with our drop bags for tonight. And unfortunately, it's going to be a wet one. It is pouring rain. It wasn't the forecast, but we were hoping that it was going to be more just intermittent showers, but this is definitely a drizzle. You can see the rock just across the street there, which is normally during Hard Rock positioned just down the block here.
You ready for this, or?
As ready as we're going to be.
I mean, I'm ready. Have fun, guys. See you in a very long time. Yoo-hoo!
is where Silverton's little ski lift is here. This is like the avalanche capital, so it's usually guided or heli tours. Oh yeah. It's spectacular skiing or snowboarding if you know what you're doing. Just a ton of really cool old mining stuff like this all over this route. We're just climbing now. We've got a big climb ahead of us as we climb up to Little Giant.
I'd been joined on this adventure by 4 others, including David, who I'd only recently met.
Had to get peak training in before High Lonesome, so basically got like an hour and a half of sleep before flying to Western States. Went out there, crewed my runner. He did great, he finished, and got an hour and a half of sleep at Western States. Flew back here, and I had some flight troubles, and so I got an hour of sleep last night. So I have slept, I don't know, 4.5 hours in 3 days. And now I'll be hanging out at Hard Rock, which is really cool as well. And then 1 week later, we'll go race High Lonesome.
My name is David Hatena. I'm from Buena Vista, Colorado. I am a 6-year ultra runner and a professional coach.
I'm so glad we planned this in July with no days out for a rain day.
Adam is an old friend from Vancouver who I've done quite a few adventures with over the years and who has been featured in quite a few of my films.
What a day, huh? What a day to start.
My name is Jeff Allen. I currently reside in South Carolina. I've been coming out to Silverton since 2016. I fell in love with this place and finally excited to get to do a full lap around here. So.
Jeff I'd first met during UTMB in 2022, so you might recognize him as well.
My name is Kayla and I live in Reno, Nevada right now. I originally started as a road runner about 7 years ago, kind of like a fair weather runner, and then transitioned to trail running about 2 years ago. So I think it's gonna be really tough, but I don't know.
And Jeff's friend Kayla had decided to join us fairly last minute. She was the least experienced of the group, but would turn out to be one of the strongest.
Not so bad. Hey guys.
Hey.
What's going
on, buddy?
Ooh. What do you got there?
The world famous fast knots.
What are you guys doing?
Good, how are you doing?
Good. We're just making fast knots.
Nice.
Fast knots for fast people. Fast donuts.
This is how you play. Yeah.
That's nice.
Delicious.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Jess.
Thanks, guys. All right, so we're just leaving Cunningham here, where the Cunningham aid station is normally set up during Hard Rock. We had our own little aid station there. Zach was frying up some donuts, which were delicious. From Silverton, we had climbed up and over Little Giant Pass at 13,000 feet and down into Cunningham Gulch. We now climb back up Green Mountain Basin and along a ridge at over 13,200 feet, along the Continental Divide Trail and up Pole Creek to Cataract Pole Pass, before following Cataract Gulch Trail all the way down to the ghost town of Sherman, where Audrey would be waiting for us with the van. A distance of about 31 miles with a little over 9,800 feet of elevation gain. It's a tough climb.
Hello, you Jeff, you feeling this altitude?
What's that? Oh yeah. You better believe it. You better believe it.
Well, it's finally started to clear, and you can see it's just totally sunny back there on Little Giant where we just came from. we made it up to 13,000 feet. Now we're gonna drop down over here and then climb up. I think what is our last climb of the day to Stony Pass. Ooh, definitely all feeling the altitude now. Beautiful though.
It's important not to underestimate the difficulty and remoteness of this route. And in addition to having adequate experience, training, and the right equipment, proper trail stewardship should be practiced at all times, including the principles of leave no trace. Afternoon thunder showers are also quite common this time of year, and the risk from lightning is higher on this type of exposed, high-altitude terrain.
So we just stopped back there to refill our bottles. We all realized kind of at the same time that we were all pretty dehydrated. We didn't drink nearly enough today. We've got another climb up here, it looks like, out of this valley, but we are definitely not close to finishing yet.
The Hardrock 100 is one of the most popular and sought-after races in the ultra running world, and for good reason. It weaves through some of the most breathtaking and rugged terrain in the San Juan Mountains, making it a dream for many. But getting in is another story. Demand far outweighs the limited spots available, and the lottery system makes entry feel almost as elusive as the course itself, favoring past finishers of the race, while newcomers often face years of waiting. I've been trying to get into the race for close to a decade.
So I just arrived at Sherman, where there is normally an aid station. It was a fairly long drive, about 5.5, 6 hours. There's a big detour because there's a bridge that's out on one of the main roads, but beautiful and super comfortable in this little van that we got. This van's got everything we need. It's got a really comfortable queen-size bed. Then I've got a ton of storage in the back for everyone else's gear. So they brought tents, food for the week, clothing for the week, so everyone can have like a good reset every night. And then of course I have a sink here, a mini fridge, a little stove, so I can, cook some meals for myself, make breakfast, coffee in the morning, that sort of thing. So I'm just gonna settle in and wait for the guys to arrive tonight.
So you've seen just a handful of the creek crossings that we've had to do here. And this is why people have such bad foot problems during Hardrock, because your feet are just always wet. So you end up kind of getting trench foot. Yeah, it's just one more thing that makes this course particularly challenging.
I almost stuck on a fish in there.
Really? Oh wow. That light too. So that's it for our climbing for today. So now we're just gonna drop down into this drainage all the way out. Nice work.
Well, at least it wasn't hard. Hi. I'm so glad to see you. Holy moly. Thanks so much. Also, Doug. Yeah, exactly.
You'll win the downhill next tomorrow.
Down to you, right?
Yeah.
So we rolled in last night just before 8 p.m. We were up at just after 5:30 a.m. this morning. We're hoping to hit the trail by 7, and it should be a sunny one today. Not a cloud in the sky currently, and no rain in the forecast. Leaving our campsite, we'd begin the long climb up Handy's Peak, which would be the high point for the route at over 14,000 feet. From there, we'll traverse American Basin, up and over a pass, and down to Grouse Gulch. We'll pass through the ghost town of Animas Forks on our way up to Engineer Pass, to follow Bear Creek Trail down through the gorge all the way to Ouray. A distance of 26 miles with about 7,500 feet of elevation gain.
So how was your day yesterday?
Actually, it was so nice. Most of the drive was on the 149, which is like a secondary road, but it's like a historic, scenic road. It was beautiful. It was like mountain pass after mountain pass. Really, really stunning. Like lots of rivers, people rafting, people horseback riding in the valleys. It was just really pleasant, actually. It was a good road trip. I was blasting some music. So the plan today after these guys take off is for me to just drive back to Civilization. I think the closest town is Lake City. Should be just about an hour from here. And I'm going to park myself there to work for a couple hours. So today's Tuesday. It's a work day for me. I have to work remotely, unfortunately. But yeah, so I'll put in a few hours of work there and then maybe break up the drive a little bit, another couple hours or so, and then work again and meet the guys back in Ouray tonight.
Are we ready? You guys want to do this thing?
I was born ready. I can't speak to the others.
See ya. So what are we in store for today?
God, we're going up Handy's. Just a 14,000 foot peak, no big deal. Yeah, I don't know what else is gonna happen.
All right, so we just made it to our trailhead after a fairly long approach, just over an hour on mostly Fire Service Road, up to this parking lot here. But now we're starting our climb, and we've got a big climb ahead of us, all the way up to Handy's Peak. This is unfortunately my reality on these group adventures. Whenever I hang back to get the drone up in the air to get a shot of the group off in the distance, then I gotta bust my butt trying to catch up, which is easier said than done, approaching 14,000 feet. Oh shit! Oh no! Yeah.
No, that was really funny. There's teeth prints! Look at the teeth prints! That Marmot was not teeth!
I first experienced the Hard Rock 100 course as a pacer in 2015 when I paced my friend Kevin Douglas for about 46 miles from Ouray back to Silverton. But most of that was at night. I've since paced and have run other sections of the course in both directions, but this was the first time I'd have a chance to put it all together.
just dropped off Handy's into American Basin. There's a parking lot and a trailhead just down there, so this is definitely a more popular approach for tagging Handy's, because we've got to climb all the way up and out of here, and then we'll drop down below to the next road crossing.
So we just dropped down to Grouse Gulch, which is normally where there's an aid station during the race. And now we're walking up the road. It's a couple kilometers to Animas Forks. From there, it's only actually 600 meters to make it to the top of the climb, which will be the last one for the day. And that's when we go over Engineer Pass and then make a long descent to Ouray.
So Hard Rock passes through some really interesting ghost towns, including Sherman and especially Animas Forks. These are our aid stations now, and you can see these old buildings from the 1870s. And it's pretty amazing that these towns with stores and saloons and schools sprung up almost overnight and thrived for a decade or so. And just as quickly almost, they disappeared. And this region's history is really a history of boom and bust cycles.
Just here for Hard Rock, here to train and pacing my friend Ben.
Okay.
And just been hanging out. I'm a second grade teacher, so
Okay.
just enjoying a little summertime
Nice.
vacations. So crashing here soft rock with my buddy Adam here.
The route to Engineer Pass is unfortunately very popular for 4x4 vehicles, and was even busier than usual for the 4th of July weekend.
Well, it's that time of day when we're just ready to be done. The section's dragging on and on. We're getting there. Then it's all downhill to Ouray. Look at that.
So we're just gonna drop off the road right down here. You guys are gonna like this descent.
Nice, nice.
You got the freshest lines.
Saving the taste, come along with me. I live my dream first time. Taking my time, lifting her up. I put out the morning pressure. I was only back. Too
Well, it's day 3, our shortest one by far. We're going to treat it as almost active recovery, although we do still have some work to do today. But it's actually been shortened a little bit further because we camped a few miles up the road here. And with that in mind, we're giving ourselves a little bit of a later start. We're hoping to hit the trail here by 8 a.m. And I have my buddy Derek Lytle joining us today. He actually joined us yesterday afternoon. He surprised us on course, and then he's going to be with us today and tomorrow, meeting us at different places en route to get his drone up in the air and get some B-roll footage. And you'd recognize Derek's work from my film about the Moab 240.
What's up? Good morning.
From our campsite just outside of Ouray, we'll continue along Campbird Road, passing some interesting mining ruins, before beginning the difficult climb up Governor Basin to Virginia's Pass, which, during the race, is home to the famous Kroger's Canteen at 13,000 feet. After taking in the incredible views, we'll drop down to the ski resort town of Telluride, our shortest day of the week at 13.5 miles, with 4,600 feet of elevation gain.
What's your day look like today?
Well, I'm gonna have a short drive back in town. I'm gonna do a few hours of work, and then I'll slowly make my way to Telluride, do a little bit more work, and then maybe go for a little jog once I get over there. And tonight we have a hotel room booked actually, so that'll be nice to be able to have showers.
Jeff's running.
It's how you start, not how you finish. They don't remember how you finish.
Car up. We've just been grinding along this road for a while here, and unfortunately there's a lot of vehicle traffic, but it is beautiful. You know, the canyon, we've had views of the surrounding mountains, Mount Sneffels. We were joined by a couple of friends, Kevin and Natalie. I met them for the first time a couple of days ago there in Cunningham. But this is the reality of this route. There is a lot of road, but you spend the majority of your time, I would think, on, you know, the single track and more technical terrain. But there are quite a few miles on roads like this. You heading back? Yeah, we'll see you back. Yeah, see you there.
So when I go along and I look at the mining ruins that you can see on the Hard Rock Trail from Liberty Bell and then traversing toward Virginia's Pass, you look down and see the ruins of these towns, and you see all this equipment, falling apart buildings, and it is fascinating. And I have great appreciation for these historic artifacts. But then the other side of me is really upset in a way that what we're looking at is actually a toxic junkyard. I mean, these companies never fully or properly cleaned up these mines. They denuded the forests, they polluted the streams, and that toxic legacy is with us today. The only mining work in the area is mining remediation to clean it up. So I think you can hold both these truths in your head, I mean, I do anyway, to both appreciate the history we see, but also to recognize that it is not nature, it is leftover junk.
These mountains were formed by volcanic eruptions around 35 million years ago that created massive calderas and rugged peaks. Over time, the land was further shaped by tectonic uplift and relentless erosion, carving out deep valleys and sharp ridgelines. Glaciers from the last ice age then sculpted the landscape even more, leaving behind dramatic cliffs and alpine basins. Silverton sits in the remnants of one of these ancient supervolcanoes, the massive Silverton caldera. It's part of the San Juan Volcanic Field, one of the most extensive volcanic regions in North America. The peaks and ridges surrounding the town are part of the collapsed volcanic rim, a dramatic reminder of the area's explosive past.
You can see the pass right up there, and it definitely has some snow.
Looks pretty steep. There's some good like butt slides coming down it right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, coming from like a ski touring background, I don't think it'll be too bad. It's just some steep snow.
We made it up to Kroger's, home of the most famous aid station in all of ultra running. There's a great film Solomon put on about it a few years back. They come up here, they pack everything up, this brutal climb up Virginius, and it's tradition up here during the race to take a shot. Last year I had the pleasure to pace Jesse Haynes through here, and I carried up 6 extra shots to give to the team up here. But yeah, this is a special place. If anyone gets the chance to do the race or pace this section, you'll just remember it forever. It's just one of those special spots. And sketchy descent, this first, a couple hundred yards, and hard right down to Telluride.
I did this part at night, pacing Kevin, so nice to see it during the day. So that's it for today. This is where the aid station is usually set up here in this park. Some beautiful views today, and now we've got lots of time to spend the rest of the afternoon recovering. We're gonna go grab some lunch and check into our hotel, have some showers, and basically rest up because tomorrow we have another really long one. We're just driving back downtown now from the hotel that we stayed at a couple miles outside of town. It was really nice to have showers and for the other guys to have a proper bed. And we're gonna start again from downtown in the park where the aid station is normally set up in downtown Telluride. Audrey and I have got all the gear in the back of the van here, and the rest are actually taking the gondola down from the hotel downtown. Leaving Telluride, we'll climb up Bear Creek Trail towards Oscars Pass at over 13,000 feet. A steep, rocky trail will lead us down into Chapman Gulch before we climb back up towards Grant Swamp Pass and through Island Lake Basin as we traverse down to the road. We'll then have just one last series of climbs over more gentle terrain before following Putnam Basin back towards Silverton. Another long day to finish off at 28.5 miles with over 10,200 feet of elevation gain.
There's like hundreds of chairs already set up for the 4th of July parade that's happening today. Like some of these must have been set up since last night.
Yeah.
I've never seen such a thing.
Walk over from the gondola was like everyone was trudging, so I don't expect a lot this morning.
Across the canyon, into the great unknown, into the wild, to the wild, to the wild I go.
Quite a cool start this morning. About 4 degrees Celsius there in Telluride. We're warming up pretty quickly on the climb here, and it's gonna be a really hot one. Definitely the hottest day. Not a cloud in the sky. So we're just heading up through Oscars Pass here. And when I did this back in, I guess it was 2015, pacing Kevin, this was completely covered in snow. It was really tricky to go through, and apparently all the race leaders, Killian included that year, had spent about 10 minutes wandering around in the snow here. We fortunately back then had the GBX track and used the watch, and we're doing that again today. I've got the track for each day that I made following the course on my Coros Vertix 2S here, and it beeps at me if we go off course, and it even beeps to give me a heads up when there's a turn coming up, so we won't have that problem today. We just ran into Francois Dehane, Solomon athlete who is running Hard Rock here. See you. And it's funny because I ran into him last year while I was fast packing the Tour de Mont Blanc in advance of UTMB. that was a big descent. We've done now about half the climbing, but unfortunately only at 1/3 of the distance. We're about 4 hours in. So yeah, we've still got some work to do. We're just stopping to filter some water, and we'll be on our way.
The climbs were definitely challenging. What I was mostly worried about was my legs getting tired, but it's actually just way harder to breathe than anything.
All right, there's our climb up there. It's about 1,300 feet of climbing in less than a mile. See where we came from back there, those switchbacks? And that's where we're going up there.
Grand Swamp Pass was crazy. Going up there was 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And the thing that caught me by surprise is how close we all had to stay together, because if we spread out too much, then a rock would accelerate and hurt somebody. And there was a lot of rocks.
So Derek hiked up from the other direction with his drone here. I'm assuming he got some epic footage. You guys tell me.
We're up here at Grand Swamp Pass at the Charles Zucker Memorial. Hard Rock puts a fundraiser together every year for the local students in high school to raise money for a scholarship. And it's tradition up here during the race to stack a rock up here and give it a tap for good luck and have a good day in the mountains and finish off strong. So.
So we've dropped down into the valley, refilled our bottles, and now we've got the last series of climbs, about 900 meters in total, as we head back into Silverton. just grinding away up this climb. And you gotta remind yourself to stop and soak it in. You gotta turn around once in a while. It's beautiful. You can see where we came from up there. The pass. Dropped down, traversed all the way along there, and down into the valley and up the other side here. Okay, last little climb here. It's about 500 feet. We drop down to Silverton.
Putnam's unique in the sense that you have this climb and then it's kind of chill and then it kicks up, ramps up again. It's open, it's expansive views, it's very green. It's the final push. But when you're going that counterclockwise direction and you know the end is near and you could just take a moment and breathe it all in. We were all sitting there and just kind of reminiscing on the last 4 days, and it's a memory I won't ever forget.
All right, final shuffle to the finish here. We'll be coming up to a big river crossing soon, and then just a little run back into town on some kind of rolling terrain.
Times and places are all in who you share them with, and it's life, and the point is enjoying who you share it with.
Nice work, guys.
Nice. That river wasn't as deep as we thought it might be, and we had donuts at the other side, so.
I might never get into hard rock, and I'm okay with that. The last 4 days have been really enjoyable. Got to be with friends. We had beautiful weather except for the first morning, and I could easily go the rest of my running days without, racing and not feel like it's a loss after this experience.
We're just on the last few kind of meters here, and it turns out that the final stretch of single track heading into town is closed because there's fireworks happening here soon. So we're gonna run through town instead and to where the official finish is for the Hard Rock 100.
Yeah, now it's a moment, and a home is who you share it with. I believe what the point is enjoying who you share it with.
Well, we got it done. It's a long day, the end of a long week, and now we're gonna relax and grab a beer and watch these fireworks.
Well, our adventure was a complete success. We had practically perfect weather aside from some rain that first morning, but otherwise blue skies. None of those afternoon thunder showers that are typical for the San Juans this time of year. I did find the altitude to be a challenge, as expected, coming from sea level, but it was a little bit worse this time than, say, the first time I came to Colorado 9 years ago to pace at Hard Rock. But within about a week or so, I felt pretty well adapted. The van worked out perfectly. It's a really good value, and I've actually got a discount code in case you're interested, along with links to all of the other gear that I used in the description below. So we stayed in Silverton for Hard Rock the following weekend, and I actually had a chance to jump in as a pacer for a friend of a friend, and you can hear all about that in an episode of my 2024 Time on Feet. So now we have arrived in Buena Vista in the Sawatch Range, where Audrey is preparing to race the High Lonesome 100, while I continue training for my own goal race for the year, the Swiss Alps 100. So stay tuned for the films from those adventures as well.